Hey, hi, and hello, and welcome back to 12 to 60. I'm having a great day today. It's a little gray out, it's a little cold out, it's a little rainy, and I just found a whole box full of Detective Comics. So I'm super excited to take this walk down memory lane. Now, what do I have here? This is my oldest Detective Comics. I think it's like 19, what is it? 19, for I need different glasses. 1975. So I would have been 10 years old when I bought that little baby. And as I think I've mentioned before, I do love myself a little bit of Creeper. That may have been why I picked it. But this is not in great shape. I look at books like that and I think, why didn't I take better care of my books when I was a little kid? But it is what it is, right? Look at that. Oh, such great. I think that's a Paro cover. I'm not sure, but it seems like it. So it's just been really fun for me to go through these. And it kind of makes me remember sort of when I first started buying comics. Now, before I started calling myself a collector, like when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I'd go to the grocery store with my mom. And she would give me a few bucks, and I would go to the bakery department at Carr's grocery store, and I would buy a glazed donut. And then I would take that glazed donut, and I would go to the spinner rack over in the front of the store with all the DC and Archie and Marvel comics, all the newsstand versions. And now that I think about it, I was probably flipping through all those dang comic books with my sticky, sugary fingers. So sorry. And that might explain a lot of the condition of some of these books. But, that was my thing. And so I don't have like consistent numbers of books. I would buy maybe a Legion of Superheroes, or maybe I'd buy a Justice League, or maybe rarely I would buy an Avengers book or a Spider-Man book. And occasionally I would buy a Batman book or a Detective Comics book. And I think one of the things, as I'm sitting here looking at this dollar comic, when I was a kid, comic books cost that one cost 25 cents. When I really started to buy comic books pretty consistently, they were like 35 cents. And I remember thinking, wow, I could get a couple of comics. And they were full of ads and things like that. And then imagine my sticker shock to find comics that cost a whole dollar.
I'd buy that for $1.
That was crazy. But, it was a really cool deal because this was like 4 comic books in one. So it was really kind of a discount. If the 10-year-old or 12-year-old me, I guess I probably would have been 12 when this came out, could actually do math. But so I'm sitting here going through these. There's a lot of first appearances of, Julia Pennyworth and, who else? Onyx Adams, Nocturna. You remember her? Nocturna was kind of a love interest. Jason Todd's in here. First Jason Todd. All of these, Swashbuckler, some of the villains that have become mainstays. Killer Croc, first appearances in here. I'm a little bit excited about that one. Lots of anniversary issues. And Alan Moore backup story, when he started writing Green Arrow is in here. So I've been really having fun sorting through these, and I just pulled these out because I want to put them in some fresh bags and boards. But honestly, you know what? You can hear the rains just started. I'm not going to bag and board them right now. I'm just going to sit down and read one. Okay, so this is one of the dollar books from when Batman Family was one of these dollar books that DC did, where they basically were trying to give you this really thick comic that would contain a lot of story, 68 pages, no ads from cover to cover. Again, back in this day and age, most books were 35 cents, but you only got 17 pages of story, and about, the rest of it was all ads. So this was kind of a new initiative that happened over at DC when Jeanette Kahn took the reins. And someday I'm going to do a whole episode just about her because she's amazing. So this is the 40th anniversary issue that basically goes back to Crime Alley. And this is a great cover. CLZ says it's by Dick Giordano, but I think it's actually by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, because that's what it says right here. But it, shows Bruce Wayne watching his parents being killed. And then we see a modern Bruce, wreaking justice and havoc there in Crime Alley. And look at this great atmospheric opening page, this, spreadsheet, not spreadsheet, splash page. I can think of it. This is a great story, written by Denny O'Neil, who was just a standout writer, both for Marvel, but I think of him, I associate him more with DC. I think later he became the editor of the Batman books. But here we have, an old man who's walking through Crime Alley. A couple of thugs are about to attack him, but nope. It's the anniversary. It's the special night when Batman shows up in Crime Alley, and there he is, and he just scares the crooks away. And he's over there and he's checking things out, making sure the thugs are not, hurting anybody. And Dr. Leslie Tompkins shows up, this old lady who comes, and she's there because she's, remembering something that happened there on this date. Of course, we all know what it is. And she knows that Batman shows up. I have always thought Leslie Tompkins, who's one of my favorite of the Batman family, I've always thought that she's always known exactly who Batman is. But they're having a little conversation, which launches him into this flashback of that scene when his parents were killed. And Leslie Tompkins, this is her in the flashback. She was this, person who was compassionate and kind and sort of, cared for him in that moment. And that's what I've always loved about the Leslie Tompkins character, is that she has always been sort of this nonviolence focused person who's about caring and compassion and being kind to people, and was always kind of a little bit of Bruce Wayne's or Batman's conscience in a lot of ways. And she shows up time and time again in just the right time and moment. And we see, he's here, he's trying to figure out who these bad guys are, what they're up to. And she's kind of reminding him that, we need to take care of people. Let's go find the people in the building, and they need to evacuate the building because there's a villain who is going to flood the building with some sort of toxin or something like that. And we find out this is a key issue because this is the first appearance of Maxie Zeus. Worst name perhaps possibly ever. Maxie Zeus, who thinks he is the descendant of the Greek god Zeus, and he's got some nefarious plan. There's somebody in this building he needs to get to, and he's going to flush them out by releasing this toxin in this building. We've got Leslie Tompkins, who's basically, reminding Batman that he's got to stop scaring people. But he's, of course, just going to use his big, action energy to get into these people. And here we have, he's breaking up a little moment of domestic violence. Isn't that lovely? Kind of a strange little side note. But he comes back out and he sees that one of the thugs has knocked out Leslie Tompkins. Now that's bad news. And it kind of is a really cool reference back to, when he was so helpless as a boy and couldn't help his parents. But now he can actually get the guy who's just hurt Leslie. And we see him just really wailing on this guy, and, there's Batman. The woman you attacked means more to me than anyone alive, and I'm going to break you for it. And he's just beating this guy. And then we hear, the little voice from the back, Batman, no. And of course, it's Leslie reminding him basically about, how beating people up doesn't really change anything, doesn't help anything, isn't going to make him feel better. And again, we've got these mind bubbles of him kind of reflecting on what she's saying. And then, of course, they kind of team up together and work together to capture these guys who are trying to do this terrible stuff. I mean, just look at the art here. It's so beautiful. And when you think about what they did with so few colors, now we have so much options with all the digital coloring. But this is like what they're able to do with the inking and the coloring together is pretty amazing. I mean, look at that. Just beautiful. So he basically sends a little, he resolves the problem. sees Leslie in the hospital, and he kind of is remembering here, this little words of wisdom that she shared with him. When we have the wisdom to use mercy and compassion instead of force, we human creatures will finally be on the path to perfection. See, that's what I always loved about Leslie Tompkins. So then we have other stories in the book. We've got the human target, which was a character called Christopher Chance. He was this kind of flashy special agent kind of guy who would find people people would hire him to take their place. Like, he would transform into them. He'd look like them. He'd sound like them. He'd act like them. So this is this mustachioed stuntman who's somebody's trying to kill him. So Christopher Chance takes his place, becomes the human target. Oh, look, there's a hand grenade being thrown at him. And so he's going to avoid, I guess, being blown up. But he was just super athletic and super skilled. And, his adventures were always pretty fun. Oh, now we have a really classy one, a little Batgirl story. Look at this. Check this out. This is, during the time when there was sort of like the underground and all these other sort of, revolting, not revolting as in gross, but, the revolutionaries. Thank you. Gosh, I couldn't think of the word. Revolting, kind of groups. And it's really funny, like the whole way that this image is skewed. And you've got this very multiracial, very diverse group of bad guys here. And this is funny. This is so like, I don't know if you remember this, but Barbara Gordon, she was in Washington, D.C. at the time, because at the time she was a congresswoman from Gotham. And so she would be a congresswoman during the day, and then she would be Batgirl bringing justice to the Capitol by night. So she's basically taking on these revolutionaries, and she meets
Barbara Boxer did that too for a while.
Yeah, exactly. You know it. Can you just imagine Barbara Boxer in a Batgirl outfit?
I don't want to.
I mean, but we all just did, and
Thank you.
It wasn't as bad as you think it's going to be. So now she's getting hit on by. Okay, so first of all, this like soldier is there, and they've helped to, I guess, clear out these guys. But you've got this guy asking her out on a date. Now, I don't know. This isn't my gig anyway, but if a guy was sweating that much asking me on a date, I'm not sure I would go. But, he's blonde and he's cute. So she says yes. So it's this story about Batgirl in the Batgirl outfit going out on this date. And she gets all this attention from all these Batgirl fans. And he feels very sort of sidelined by the whole thing. And the whole time she's trying to figure out where the revolutionaries are going to attack next. She's really not being all that present. And so they go around and they try and go dancing, but these people don't believe it's really Batgirl. So she flips them around and he's humiliated again.
His poor male ego.
Oh my God, crushed into tiny little pieces. And then she figures out, the next attack is going to be at the Washington Monument. Let's go there. So they get into his very cute little, it looks like a Barbie car. And they go to the Washington Monument. He wrecks his car because apparently he's a very nervous driver. Look, he gets in some hits, right? So he can throw a punch. Oh, that's good. And together they end their date. But I'm pretty sure that was the end of that little romance there. Then we have another side story with the demon. That was Jason Blood, and I can't even remember who was carrying on the like dual personality of a demon called Etrigan. Etrigan? Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Who knows? This was a story by Len Wein. And Steve Ditko. Gosh,
I think it was Merlin that cursed him.
Yeah, I think it was too. Yeah. And so this is like where you get kind of a little bit of the arcane, mystical, occult sort of stories that, were pretty popular back then. But just look at how like wild this art is, right? It's just so, for the time it was really colorful, but it's also, and I love like all the like text boxes that are telling you kind of moving the narrative along. Because they didn't have as many pages to really expand the story. So they're providing a lot of information. We hardly ever do that now. from a writing perspective, it's kind of interesting to see how that was done. But pretty cool art, I have to say. Steve Ditko knew what he was doing. But it's all this kind of very fantastical, kind of cool stuff. And then, of course, Etrigan becomes Jason Blood again with his little fancy little spot of white hair. That's how you know it's Jason Blood. Yeah, it's a pretty good story. And then, of course, we have Robin, the Teen Wonder. Now, this is a little story. What's this about? Okay. He was kind of an adult. I think this is right around when he was doing the Teen Titans. Yeah, and this is somebody I don't think we ever find out why this bad guy wants these bad guys to kill Robin, because he's a hero, I guess. And look at him being a teenager, still running around in those little short pants. Yeah. Oh, we get a little cameo from Dula Dent, who was the daughter of Harvey Dent, Two-Face.
She's been kind of forgotten.
She has totally been forgotten, which is sad. But she was a hero called Harlequin, not to be mistaken for you-know-who, the very famous Harley Quinn. Nope, it's not her. Dula Dent was a hero. She was part of the Teen Titans.
She was around the same era as Joker's daughter, wasn't she? Or am I confusing?
I think you're confusing those. Joker's daughter was, I think, I want to say a little bit later. I could be wrong, though. But it was an attempt to sort of get a couple of more female characters into the Teen Titans. Yeah, so this is, he's back at the college campus. Apparently this is one of the bad guys. This is a girl that Dick likes. She doesn't like him because she's hanging out with the bad guy. As girls do. They always like those bad boys. Yep. Not too much of interest here. Okay, now, so the other thing they would do with these, big stories is they would often have one that was kind of funny. And so here we have a Batman story where he throws Bruce Wayne. I loved it back in the day because they would really lean into Bruce Wayne as an idiot kind of a character. Like that whole idea that his alter ego was like, he was kind of a goofy guy who wasn't very smart and was like kind of vain and, just spent his money doing stupid things. So here Bruce Wayne is throwing a stupid kangaroo race in the middle of the city, and nobody knows why he's doing it. Of course, here's got a little secret conference with Alfred so that we know why he's doing it. He's trying to lure an Australian villain out so that, and how else would you lure?
Meat pies and beer.
Meat pies and beer. No, we're going to throw a kangaroo race right here.
I wish that's all rich people did with their money now. Like, I'd take that over everything else.
Kangaroo races every day. That is exactly what we want here. Yes. Oh my God, this is so ridiculous. And check this out. Okay. I need to figure out how to zoom in because this guy is freaking ridiculous. What is his name? His name is something stupid too. Yeah, this is the Australian guy. So, and he's Australian because he says, gotcha, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. He says that a lot. He says thanks a lot. I don't know why he does it, but he's got his accent, and he's got an accent because they keep writing it that way because he's got to show off he's got an accent. Oh my God, that was a quality story. Gosh, what is this guy's name?
Didn't they have Captain Boomerang? Couldn't he have?
Yeah, he would have thought, but he was a Flash guy. I have me boys unload them. Hey, cobbers, get to work. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, that is hysterical. The Batman. Not if you can't catch him. And I love all the knock. Knock. That's the sound that a punch makes. Knock. I don't know what that sound is, but his name is Ginty. Ginty. No, I like me health. I'm not gonna fight you. Oh my gosh.
I think you want wearing his daughter, Ginty.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the end of that one. It's been a lovely little walk down. Aw, check this out. Aw, it's the whole Batman family. I should blow that up and put that on my wall. But this has just been a really nice walk. Oh, look, I didn't even notice this. He's got all the bad guys back here in this little Batcave jail cell. But anyway, this has been a lovely little walk down memory lane. I'm going to spend a little bit more time today going through the Detective Comics and rebagging them, and me probably reading a few more. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will see you next week. Take care. Was the Cars grocery store? Was the Cars grocery? All right, let's back it up.